Hello YouTube, I hope everyone's keeping well out there and keeping away from the lurgy and staying safe, because that's what it's all about at the moment. So as you can see, I've been doing a fair bit of work on my Red Star depot. I've done the fencing now. I had actually ordered some from Scale Model Scenery, but that took longer than what I expected to get here. So that's the wheels fence that I've used for that palisade, but the Scale Model Scenery stuff's turned up and it's really nice, so I might use that somewhere at the other end. But that's what I did intend to use there, but unfortunately, like I say, I wanted to get on with it. So the other bit, I have actually also ordered some of their low barrier. I've got some of their low barrier, so I'm not sure whether or not I want to just put that on the stud wall, the other end or the other side. I'll have to sort of measure it up with a person and see how tall it is. But it might just make it look a bit more interesting with just sort of a little tiny bit of barrier there as well. Don't know yet, but I'll see. Originally I was going to put palisade fencing through the length of it, but then I thought to myself, well, you wouldn't really see that because it sort of seemed a bit pointless putting it where the car park was. So the other problem I've been having, or had, was that this building here was originally in there, which is where the loading bays were. But I worked out by the time that you tried to back the lorry onto the loading bay, there was such little space here that I doubt if Trucker J in the UK could have got on there, never mind anyone else. And I thought, after spending all this time sort of getting this looking reasonable, that it seemed a shame to sort of make it a bit unrealistic on that front. So I decided that it was time to do a little bit of scratch building. So that's the start of what you can see there, is the start of the scratch build loading bays. So the actual bays that the lorries are backed up against, they're from Scale Model Scenery, and then the rest of it is just sort of 2mm card that I've been coupling together. Decided also to build it in two halves, so to make it a little bit easier for myself. So that's the bottom half almost complete. I need to spray the sort of the grey stuff is going to be sprayed red, because that's most of the stuff on the pastel stuff was red. So I'm going to spray that same colour as the palisade fence. And then above it I'm going to sort of have some offices. So where the bigger hole is going to be like 2 stories of offices. And then where the other side, the closer to the backboard or back scene, I'm going to just leave as sort of like a big window, which would be for the warehouse window. So effectively that window there is going in there like that, and then I'll have 2 windows in here. So I'm going to try and sort of put a bit of an office in there as well, because I've seen some of the other YouTubers doing that and I think that looks really good. So I don't know how well that's going to come out, but so far so good. It don't look too bad. So I think by the time it's finished, well, I haven't filmed any of me building it so far, but what I might do is when I build the next module is film that and then speed it up so you can sort of see what I do. So that's just about that. I've done a little bit more ballast in the yard as well, but I've ordered some more ballast from Scale Model Scenery, so I'm waiting for that to turn up. So where the blue 47 is, I've got some different colour ballast to go in there. So I'm going to wait for that, and then once that arrives I shall ballast that, and then that'll be this end starting to look not too bad. You can see that I put my rock moulds in where they're going to go, so that's quite good. I need to paint them. Still not sure about the other side, what I want to do with that. I don't know if I want to put rock moulds there or if I just want to do some sort of embankment. I'm sort of in two minds as to, I don't know. I've obviously got to think about weight, and I'm thinking too many rock moulds is going to get quite heavy. So I might just put an embankment there. So as it comes round, just a few rock moulds up towards the tunnel mouth. But as I said, that's something that I can't do until I get my track work sorted out. But it's sort of there, and I look at it one day and think I should do something. I look at it another day and think I should do something else. But fundamentally, it's started. So that's not too bad. Okay, for the next bit, so I was going to do brickwork up the front of there, but when I was looking through my box of bits, I've come across some bits from Laser Line or Laser Cut I think the laser lines in my shed that I didn't use. So as that's cladding, I'm thinking about using that, because that would probably sit better with that. Painting it all like post office red, and hopefully that should paint as well, because it's got sort of like engravement in it, so hopefully that should be okay. So that's what I want to do. But I also need, for structurally, because I don't think you can just sit that on there, because there would have to be something to actually take that. So I've got an I-beam. So I've got an I-beam, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that I-beam across there. I think I'm going to have to pack it out so it just sits slightly proud of that. So I'm going to put a 1mm behind that, just to bring that out a bit, and then that will then sit. I'll probably put a 1mm on this as well, and then I'll sit that on there like that. So that'll give the building the sort of the strength. So that's the plan, is to get this mounted and then get the windows cut into this. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to leave the camera running, and whatever footage I get, and I'll just speed it up, and we'll see what it looks like once I've done that. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so that's what I've done there is I've mocked up where I want them. So that's going to be the warehouse window, and then that's the offices over 2 floors. What I'll do is I'll take this up to my guy who does the laser cutting and twist his arm until he cuts them for me. Because I don't think I can get it that accurate onto this. Plus the fact this is quite fragile, so laser cutting would be better for that. So what I'll do is I'll take that to him and I'll just basically get him to cut them squares onto this for me, and then that'll be a lot cleaner, a lot neater. But at least now he's got something to work to, because that will then fit over that. So that'll go like that. So yep, I'm quite pleased with that. Everything looks reasonably level. Obviously when he draws it out and does it on the laser cutter, it'll be 100% square. So if they're just a little tad out, you'll make sure that that won't be the case with the laser cutter, because it can be a lot more accurate than my knife. But yeah, so that's pretty good. So that gives you an idea of what that's going to look like sitting in there. Something like that. And then I'll just glaze that, and I'll sort of like probably varnish it so as you can't really see through it, and I'll just put like a light behind there. And then what I'm going to do in the office is I'll put 2 floors in, and I'll put some furniture in, bearing in mind that it's low relief anyway, so you're only going back that far, so there's not going to be a lot. But I'll put sort of like a couple of desks or something in one of the offices just to make it look a bit better, and sort of put a partition in there as well. So once that comes back cut and it goes on there, I can assemble the rest of it. So I'm quite pleased with that. And for my first attempt at scratch building, yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. So next job is to go and see him and twist his arm until he does it for me. So the other part of it come back is the windows I had cut out for the front of my scratch built. Well, I say scratch built, perhaps that's going a little bit too far. My attempt at scratch building a Red Star depot or Red Star offices anyway for the parcels depot. So that's the arrangement of the windows I've had cut out, and this is as far as I've got with this, the actual building itself. So that fits on there like that. There's a RSJ that goes through there. Obviously hasn't been cut to length yet, so that sits in there like that. That goes on there. So that's what you will see from the front of the building. There's also another piece of this that goes around that side as well. That sits up tight against the edge of the baseboard or against the edge of the back seam, so you won't see that. And then this is the only side you will see. So that's that. The big window is just one that would overlook the bays, if you like, and then these 4 is like the office and the kitchen. So I've made an attempt at doing some interiors. Again, I mean, they're not that well painted, but then you won't really see that much of them, which is just as well through the windows. So that's my office scene, and the guy just waiting for his last bit of paper before he's going to make his way home. And I've also done a kitchen, which was here. And I've also done the kitchen for the other window as well. So I'm just thinking that was originally a much smaller kitchen, but where they've had more staff, they've had to extend the size of the kitchen. That's why there's a few different units, different colour units and stuff, where they've not been able to match them. But again, it just makes for a little bit more feature as you look through the window, but you won't see most of it, so it's not the end of the world. I've also ordered some scale model scenery, like rubbish or whatever they call it, litter, just to sort of go on the worktops and stuff, just to give it that more homely feeling. I've also ordered a door to go in between there, so once that's here, I can just fit that, and then hopefully it won't look too bad. I've also got some lights in the building as well, so that should help. So as I build it, I'll do it bit by bit so you can actually see it come together. But yeah, so that's the kitchen unit. and that's the office. I think it'll be one above the other like that. Right, I'm off down the shed now to start doing some painting, so as I can start assembling these. I'll come back to you when I've got some more. Hello. So we got some greenery on the layout last. It's only a little tiny bit. It's because I've been sort of just planning really as to how this is going to work with static grass. Like I said, I've never done it before, so this was just a case of having a little play just to see how it's going to come out. It don't actually look too bad. I don't know if I can get in a bit closer, probably. Yeah, it does look pretty good. So around the end of the buffers, where sort of like no one would go, and trying to hide the back scene as well, I've decided that I'm going to have sort of like a few trees and bushes and bits and pieces. I mean, I've got no idea what they are, but I thought it looked quite good. Bit of colour. You've got like a little bush sitting there. Again, I've got no idea what it is. Smaller tree, that bush there. I'll find out what they are, and I'll put a link in the description as to what I've used. So yeah, that's the start of the greenery side of it. So the next thing I need to do is to come up here. I've got to put a new fascia, cut a fascia for there, which will come up a little bit higher, and then there's going to be a bit of an embankment in there to sort of just, so as if, because it's a show, I don't want, if this gets knocked, I don't want the locos falling onto the floor. So that's why I'm going to just build a little bit of an embankment up. It won't be high enough to sort of, you know, stop you from getting a photograph of the locos, but at least if the locos should fall, just in case the ball gets knocked or something, at least that should hopefully fall into there rather than falling onto the floor. So that's the thinking behind that, and then that'll obviously come along here, and sort of like by the time I get to here where my finger is, it'll go back flat because there's plenty of room there. The loco's falling onto the floor from there, something bad's happening. There's the Red Star depot over the back. That's progressing nicely. I'm still in the process of scratch building my final building to go in there, but I've been sort of like mucking around with that. Not much else has happened on the rock face. Done a bit more ballasting, so this end is basically ballast now. So like I say, I need to get this cut and put in, and once I've done that, I can hopefully blend all the scenes in. The freshly ballasted bits I'm going to leave like that, because that's where they would have just like changed the odd sleeper or just sort of helped the track out. So I wanted that to sort of look like it's sort of freshly done. So that's why I left a couple of areas, and also I just leave that like that, so as it looks new. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with that all said and done. So right, let's get on and do some more cutting. Do you like the way they're not dead level? The reason for that is because when the electrician installed them, inside the building there's a lot of framework and bits and pieces, so it was unable to wire at the same height. So after consulting the client, it was agreed that the second one would be slightly higher. Plus, as this was going at the end, that would give you more scope of light. Or maybe it was because he didn't know what a tape measure was, but we'll stick with the first one because that sounds better. We was talking on the group about wire strippers, and they'd sent a link to me regarding like small wire strippers that go down to really small cables. But I'd informed them that I was a super qualified electrician that never ever needed anything like that. I'm quite competent to use a pair of wire strippers, and I never ever get all my cables in a tangle, not ever. So here we have it. This is it now with all the lights on, so it's actually not looking too bad. I don't really know quite how good it is from that angle. What I'll do is I'll try and get some shots a bit later at night when it's a bit darker in here, and we'll see whether or not that actually really sort of highlights it. But yeah, it's not looking too bad. So I don't know if I can get you. Time to go for a bumpy ride on my 4K drone, in the 1980s 4K drone. So yeah, that's, you can see the lights a bit better now. So that's those two there coming round. Got my lights on actually on there as well, and then as I pass round you can see that, and then over into the offices. Might actually be able to get a better view through the windows now. I'll fly the drone. Better not go too much closer because of social distancing. All the lights I've used that you can see there, I have painted the columns, but they've all come from Layouts for You, and that's the column, and this is the wall lights. And this one is what I've used for the wall lights. They're pretty good. Service was absolutely outstanding. It was. I ordered them one day and they were real the next, so I was quite pleased with that. So I can't knock them for that. So yeah, yep. There might be some of their details there, but if just quick search online finds them. But yeah, so that's what I've used there. I have actually got some other ones that I got from a guy on eBay, but I'm going to use them at the other end. So I've decided that I'm going to use these here, and the other lights, because they're slightly bigger, I'm going to use them on the depot end, so you'll see me install them at some point as well. So I'll do a thing when I get to them.